Hello friends, today I'll be going to explain you about uh, not explain, it's like I'll be basically telling you about the interview questions you'll be facing at for around 2 to 3 years of experience or 3 till 3.5 something like that. It's not like after 4 they won't ask you these kind of questions, they might ask you these kind of questions also. So first let me start with user administration, like what kind of questions you'll be getting. So under user administration, the first and foremost thing which you'll be getting is like what are the different user types in SAP. Okay, so your answer should be there are five different user types. One is dialogue, system, communication, reference, and service. So they might ask you the usage also. You can tell the usage also, like dialogue users will be used for end users or business users, whoever will be using the SAP system for day-to-day activities. And system and communication is basically for connecting the systems. Communication will be for usually communication data is for non-SAP systems to SAP systems. Okay, and reference logon is used for whenever there is a minimum profiles. They might ask you these questions also. How many profiles you can add it in a maximum number of profiles. You have to tell it's there are 312 profiles, maximum profiles, which can be added to the user master record. But after that, even though user needs some more access, at that time, what you can do is uh, you can create a user with reference type and add that username here. You can see this, right? You can add that username here. So once you add that, use that user will be getting both his access as well as reference user ID access. Okay. So this is the usage of reference user. And the one more thing is service user. So what service user is like whenever you have something related to emergency access management. So because of emergency access management, these service users are used for emergency access management purposes. So other than that, inside these only, they might ask you different kinds of things like can a system and communication user do a dialogue logon? The answer should be no. Why? Because for system and dialogue, there is no dialogue logon possible. Dialogue logon means the nothing. You have to enter password and you'll come inside the system. Na? That's what mean by dialogue logon, nothing else. And other than that, for reference user also dialog logon is not possible, and the password expiration. Okay. So whenever it is a service user and communication user or system user, password service user and system user. Okay, for service user and system user, password will not get expire and they won't ask you initial password also. But for communication user, it will ask for expired or initial password. Okay, it depends on the logon method, whether it's interactive or non-interactive. And here in communication, multiple logons are allowed. Okay, in communication and system, multiple logons are allowed. This is regarding user types. And the next question you might be asking about these user groups. Okay, user group for authorization checks, and you have one more tab. First, they'll ask you what is user group. So you can tell this is basically used for creating or maintaining or distributing the users with their categories. Like if there is SD team, for them user group will be SD, or FI team will be user group will be FI, where you can create user groups using the T code SUGR. Okay, I'll just execute once and show. See here you can create user groups. Okay. Um, so why they'll ask you what are the difference between user group of for authorization check here, which is in logon tab, and the user group here. So your answer should be like this user group. Think like there is Indian users, and there is Australian users. So for Indian users, there will be one security guy. His ID will be security one, and for Australia will be security 2. Okay. There is a scenario that Indian users should edit or change the password for only this Indian security guy should edit or should modify user. He should have access to user master record only for Indian users. And this Australian security guy should have access to only for Australian users. Okay. So at that time, what happens is if you add the user group here, like for the all the users, all the Indian users, you should add user group as India. And for all the Australian users, you should add the group as Australia. And then what you have to do for these security users, there is a authorization object called, let me show you that object here. There is a authorization object called s underscore user underscore grp. This one, user master maintenance user groups. Okay, here in this field, so here in this object, if you add, in this object, if you add the user group as India for this security guy, you'll create a role with SU01 and under S underscore user underscore GRP. In this field, you'll add as India. Okay, this is group name. India is group. And similarly, here you'll add it as Australia. At that time, what happens? Australia, the security guy will only have access to edit user groups of type Australia, and the security one guy will have access to edit user groups of type India only. Okay, because of that, this is needed. And these user groups basically they are used for taking out user groups. If any person comes and asks you, taking out reports basically, according to the categories. I need all the list of SD users. At that time, you can add those kind of user groups here. And also one more important thing is. um I'm not sure whether you know about MSMP workflows or not. At the time of MSMP, in MSMP workflow, there is a thing called uh, um, you have to maintain agents there. So while maintaining agents, you'll get an option called directly mapped users. Directly map, you'll get four options where you can see you can map the users according to the user groups and directly mapped users. One is GRC API rules and the other another one is PFCG roles. So how does it take the user agents means if the user group is mentioned as approver here, and in MSMP workflow, if you configure it as user group with the user group name as approver, then he will be the approver. GRC decides he is the approver. Directly mapped means you will be mapping them directly, user ID only you will be sharing. GRC API means you have different roles which are already present for approvers. Those kind of roles, if you assign to them, then or if you have any uh, kind of or if you have any kind of BRF plus agent rule, then you can use those agent rules here. PFCG rules means you will create one separate role named as approver, and you'll assign that role to approvers. At that time, and you configure, if you configure this MSMP with PFCG rules, then it will choose um, whoever is having that approver role, he will be the approver. Okay. So because of these kind of reasons, you can just tell under MSMP configuration, we can use that user groups. You can tell that also. So other than this, the next question would be like, where will you maintain the printers? Or where will you maintain the decimal notations? So these things, all these are here only. Where will you maintain the time zone? Where will you maintain the printers? Where will you maintain the time formats, decimal notations, in language, everything? Usually you'll be asked these questions for 2 to 3 years of experience, security guys. Okay, you can tell under defaults tab you can maintain everything, logon language, decimal notation, this is and date format, time format, output device, everything. You can maintain it here. Okay. And one more thing you'll be asking like, and one update which I want to tell earlier, I told you regarding reference user, right? So for reference users, basically 312 profiles, but as of now after NetWeaver upgrade after 7.5 version, so that there is no restriction for that 312 profile, it's 312 profiles. So there is no restriction like that as of now. And then they might ask you a question called whether you can rename the user or not. Okay, earlier we were able to rename that, but now that option has been grayed out. You can answer in the same way. Okay. Uh, and the next question would be in user types will be of defaults. And what are these parameters? Okay. These parameters are nothing like, it's like autofill. It works as like autofill. Whenever you are creating up, using any forms, okay, whenever you are using any forms or something like that, you'll be filling. Whenever you go for address, it asks you that this address can be filled or not, usually in Google and all. So in the similar way, whenever user is for different kinds of user, whenever users are posting anything, or whenever any user is creating purchase requisition or purchase orders, they can maintain their particular parameter ID. Users can only maintain their particular parameters ID using SU3. See here, all the users can maintain their parameters ID. So if they give the particular value and what value should be present in the system, so whenever they execute that T code, that value will be auto filled in their in that transaction code, in that task actually. That is for parameters. And then the next thing will be uh, like personalization data. Usually this is for person related stuffs. They are maintaining this. And license, this is like whenever user if user has been you if any organization has taken SAP and they have different kinds of licenses, like he will be doing development activities, those kind of licenses will be maintained here. So these are basically related to user administration things. Okay. Mm, Other than this, if you go for hand user related tables, when you come to user related tables, the question they might ask you is, what are the different tables used for? When can you see the last logon of users? You can use the table USR02, USR02. Okay. If you execute, you'll get all details of the user. If you want any particular user, or if you want multiple selection, a set of users, you can copy and paste it here. mm, and valid to, if they ask you valid users, then you can double click on this valid to and you can click greater than or equal to today's date. So if you give today's date, what happens is today, and from today next thing, greater than or equal to today. Valid 2 should be greater than or equal to today's date. At that time, you will get all the users who are active till today. Okay. By this way, you can fetch active users result. This can be used in real-time scenarios also. Okay. And the next table would be USR, USER, ADDR. So here you can get user's first name, last name, department. Whenever you get any chance, not chance, whenever you get any scenario where you want to fetch the users according to their department wise, like there are ST users and I want to fetch all the ST users, you can put this departments here and you can fetch the data. See, you can see all the things here. So as of now, no departments are maintained actually. But if you maintain it and put them under department, you can fetch all the users' first name, last name, everything from here in this screen only. And when did the user do last logon? That is also same USR02. You can get it from here. And what different kinds of things you can get is user names you can get. These are nothing but user IDs and valid from and valid to you can get. By this you can take valid users, and if you want only users who are dialog users, you can fetch it like this. A means dialogue, B means system, C means communication, L is reference, S is service. You can mention that thing there and you can fetch the data, and you can see which users are locked also in this. So 0 means not locked, 32 means locked globally. Even these questions they will ask for 3 to 4 years of 2 to 3 years of experience. So 0 means not locked, 32 is locked globally, 64 is locked by administrator, and 128 is locked due to incorrect login attempts. You have to remember these things. Uh, Other than that, what else in this table you can fetch is this is the last logon time when the user have last logon. Um, so these are the things I think that's it from USR02. And whenever you get a questions like what are the different, not what are the different, like how can you fetch users email address? Okay. Like in SU01, if you go and check for my, I'll check whether any user address is maintained or not here, email ID. So email ID is not maintained. I'll just mention any email ID. Okay, I have maintained my email ID. Let me check. I'll show you how to fetch this email ID. Okay. So basically for getting email ID, go for SC16. You have to go for decode USR21. Okay, once you go for USR21, I'll give my ID here. Okay, you get this person number and address number. Just I'll copy it and paste it in my notepad. And next table which you have to go is ADR6. And here you give this person address or person number, anything. So once you give and execute, address number is so much. Let me give my person number. So basically this one. So this will be unique. If this will be unique every time. So you take the person number and you give. So I'll get my email ID here, which I have stored in my sheet, which I have stored in SU01. So whenever you add any data to SU01, or whenever you create SU01, which is the first table which gets updated. The first table which gets updated after you create any user is USR21. This is that table. This is the first table which gets created. Okay. Mm. So these are the things related. I think I have covered most of the things here. You have another different tables also like USR, what USR GRP. Okay, that's not USR, USGRT, USGRP. Ah, this is user groups. Like, let me show you. I'll give ST and execute. So, what are the different types of user groups available in the system? You can get in USGRP. Okay. Hmm. So these are the normal tables for user IDs. Other than this, you don't have much things related to users. What questions they might ask? They might ask you for creating user master record, which are the authorization objects needed for a security guy. For that, you can mention s underscore user underscore grp and s underscore user underscore profiles and s underscore user underscore auth and s underscore user underscore agr, and for assigning rules s underscore user underscore tcd. So these are the authorization objects which should be given to a security person for having access to user administration, like adding the roles or changing the passwords, all those things. You can do it using these authorization objects. Security user should have access to these authorization objects. And one more thing, how can you do mass lock of users? Okay, you use the T code EWZ5. Why is this not working? I think that's logged there. I think this T code is logged actually here. So basically, you can use the T code called EWZ5. Okay, EWZ5. Mass lock and unlock. For mass lock and unlock users. Hmm, what else? What else? So these are the normal things. And where can you? There are some things related to password, parameters related to passwords. So whenever I think many of you have seen like normal in not in SAP. If not in SAP system, you have many things. Whenever you add a new password to the system, you'll get a message that this password is very strong. Or sometimes when you just add 1 2 3 4 5, the password will not take. Similarly, those kind of restrictions we can do it here. Whenever user is setting his new password, we can set what kind, different things can he do using this RZ11. In this you can change. There are many things related to passwords. Okay. See, disable password logon, minimum password digits, how many digits should be in the password, and minimum password letters, minimum password lowercase, special characters, and how many uppercase should be there. So all these kinds of things can be set here. If you just open, you can see it here, right? So you can maintain them here actually. I think that's it for related to user administration. In the upcoming video, I'll be talking about I'll be talking about roles, and I'll be explaining what kind of interview questions you'll be getting regarding PF's role administration. Okay, thank you.